thinking about the what sold video that I shared with you last week. We remember it was a little bit low because of illness and the things that I had going on. And I was hoping for this week to be a little bit better. But I also knew that I had some commitments to take care of, and also just kind of catching up on everything from when I was incapacitated the week before. So this is, yeah, just kind of a so-so week again. I actually sold 30 items, which is about the same amount of items as the week before. But eBay was lower. And a fun fact, so these what sold videos I usually do Sunday through Saturday. And so right now it's Monday, and you'll see this on Tuesday. But on Sunday, which will be showing up in next week's What Sold, we sold about as much as we sold all of last week. So I already have, for next week, I already have an almost $400 day under my belt. So I'm thinking it has to be better next week. It just has to. Plus, this week I am pretty much home and listing. I don't have that many commitments. The weather's not been that great. It's like -6 when I woke up today. And it'll warm up later in the week, but I really have a lot of stuff to catch up on. So reselling wise, definitely I need to get some listings done. Anyway, so my total for the week was $7.90 and 50 cents. One of my goals this week is to jumpstart Ruby Lane again. It's been a couple weeks with just really low sales, and every shop needs activity in order to kind of keep going. So I have to get on that. Besides the fact I have a ton of vintage that I need to sell. So let's go right into what sold. We're going to start with eBay again. And we're going to go, let's close that out. We're going to start with this hat. So hats continue to be a nice bread and butter item for us. We love us some hats, like our little bins area location, the clearance center. We can get such a good deal on hats. And so my husband does like to go there and check for them there. So this was from the bins, and it's Athleta, and it's a wool blend. And let me double check one thing. I should have had this ready, but what I'm looking at is, again, these screenshots don't always, or these like pages don't always show the actual selling price. So let me see if it was any different. Yeah, $22. That's what I thought. So there was an offer we probably sent out for $22 that got accepted. But super cute little hat. This was one of my husband's items. I don't know where he picked them up. If he's just kind of had them for a long time, it's totally possible. I mentioned in my last video about the items that have not been selling, that he is going to be opening up his Etsy shop again. And this is the type of thing that he did really well selling on Etsy. So he would have moved these over, I'm sure, but he didn't have to because they sold for $15. Then the next one, Rockies, love us some Rockies. So these didn't sell for 50, they sold for 40. They are the ones I picked up that day that my husband said, go find some Rockies, and I did. They're selling a little bit slower. I think we've sold a Wranglers, and we've sold one of the Rockies. Maybe both the Wranglers, I'm not sure, but those were lower price points. And we still have 2 of the Rockies still listed. But one pair, I know my husband had noticed that they were hemmed. So shouldn't make too big of a deal, but they just have to pay attention to the measurements. So I should start doing this, like closing them out. Let's do that. Okay, so this was one of the nice flatware sales that I've had this week. So this was eBay, obviously. I think I had these listed before the flatware challenge, which honestly, I'm continuing my flatware challenge because January did not go as expected. So I am working on getting flatware going all through February as well. But as you can see, I had 2 sets of these knives and they both sold. And so that's $50 for 8 dinner knives. The handle on these are called pistol grip, and they're very common with a certain style of flatware that is very colonial looking. So these are Oneida. They had different, sometimes patterns have more than one name. So I try to fit both those names in there. And I sold these for $25, no offer or anything like that, plus shipping. And yeah, that's really good. I try to kind of keep an eye out for that colonial look. It's very classic. It's very, the pistol grip knives are very popular. And it's just very traditional kind of looking flatware that usually does pretty well. Okay, next one is a pair of Keens. This was a nice little sale. They don't look like the Keens we're normally used to that they look like, right? But these were in really good condition. I'll show you where it says Keen on the label. So the label was nice and clear. We've got some measurements. And my picture's not showing up. My internet probably is slow down here right now. Those last few pictures won't show up. Maybe if I go this way. Nope. Who knows why? Okay. So anyway, they are a pair of sandals and they went to a cold weather state. So either somebody's already thinking ahead or they need something for, I don't know, a trip or something like that. So $35. List the sandals and the warm weather things. I'm already behind in doing that. Okay, so this is one of those, like, it's kind of funny. So this is my husband's listing for hardware, and it's been listed a while. As you can see, we have about 10 available at the moment, and we have had 42 of them sold. So this was one of those situations where people usually buy more than one, okay? But the last 2 times we've had a sale on this listing, people have only bought one. So you get, you're cha-ching and you're like, oh, $1.50. Okay. Anyway, so for the most part, sometimes, my husband's like, well, maybe they buy one to see if they like it or to test it out and they'll come back and buy more. But I think sometimes it's just like a nightstand or something like that, that they just need one knob. So in any case, any activity in our shop is good. And it actually, a sale on this listing will bump the listing in search results. And so hopefully someone comes along fairly soon and just wants to buy 8 or 6 or something like that. And we'll buy a few more of them. Okay, Cutco is a good brand to keep an eye out for, especially in their knives. I was kind of surprised. I kind of scan the pots and pans sometimes just to see what's out there. There's a few names that I try to keep an eye out for, and Salad Master being the main one. But any pans that kind of look like this can be really good. The stainless ones. So I picked it up and I was surprised to see it said Cutco. And I did a quick search and I realized that, Cutco pans, this is a really small little saucepan, so it wasn't worth a ton, but I decided to go ahead and grab it. It was only $3. The problem it had was, hopefully I can show you, is the handle was a little bit melted, and just here where it meets on it, right? And so let me see. Yeah, there's a better picture of it. I don't know why it's like that. It ended up sideways. I never noticed that before. Well, I knew that Cutco has like a policy where you can, if something is damaged or whatever, you can send it in and they'll replace it. And I was just curious about that. I wasn't sure, you know, all I really wanted was like a new handle, and I was going to see if I could even just buy a new handle from them, but they don't do it like that. And so my husband took a look at it and he said, because I was concerned about the handle like breaking off or something like that. And he said, no, it's not possible. It's bolted all the way through, and we tightened the bolt and everything like that. So it's just cosmetic. So I listed it for $35. In good condition, I could have gotten maybe 40 to 50. But I also saw some in good condition selling for $35. And so I thought, oh man, I don't know, right? If this is even worth it. But somebody just paid full price on the 35. Maybe they're going to try sending it in and getting a replacement. This pan, when it's new, is like $300 or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, if bigger pans would have sold, better on the resale market, and also, non-damaged ones would be better too. Okay, just a pair of slippers by Minnetonka, but I really like the print on those, but surprisingly, they took a real long time to sell. I probably will not pick those up again, and those sold for $22, not 30. So $22, got an offer, and I said, yes, please take them. Wrangler, these are men's Wranglers. They were made in the USA, so a nice vintage pair, and just cowboy cut, straight leg, and they sold for the full asking price of $40. Some Nike sneakers. I believe we picked these up on our road trip back in the fall. My husband found them at a thrift store, and we had been sending out $45 offers, and I think somebody kept missing them or whatever. So he had asked us if we could do it again, and we tried sending him offers, and I couldn't. eBay wouldn't let me. Maybe he had let too many offers expire or something. I don't know what was going on, but we'll see what happens. We ended up, lowering the price, and he just went ahead and bought them straight away. So hopefully all that sketchiness doesn't come back to bite us. Omni wool, this has been listed a really long time, since sometime last year, like not this past winter year, but like the year before. And it's just kind of a basic base layer, but it's a wool blend. And I was like, I kept saying to my husband, he should just pull it and wear it. But he's like, I already got a bunch of stuff like that. So finally, a lady asked us, we had it priced at $25 plus shipping. She asked us if we could do free shipping, and it's the only interest we've had anytime lately. And so we're like, yeah, no problem. So we did free shipping, and she bought it right away. I don't know where my husband picked this up. I can't remember. It was either a yard sale, a junk pile on the side of the road, or our bins location. So an older little hubcap, and it just sold for $15, but it's one more thing out of the landfill that maybe somebody needed. I think I've showed this brand before because I had 2 of these hats, and one sold on Poshmark a few weeks ago. So Skida, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it was a company from Vermont. A woman started just making these hats, and I wasn't sure how well known they'd be or anything, but we've sold both of them for $25. So I thought that was pretty good. I paid $2 a piece at Goodwill. So this was a vintage Y2K, definitely polo jeans company, yellow fleece, and it took a little bit to sell. I listed it back in the fall, I think, But just definitely has that. I had it on Depop and Posh and everything, but somebody bought it here for 27. This is a fun little sale. It sold for $26, not 30. Someone had asked if we would take that offer. Yeah, so I had remembered, I'll try to pop up a picture right here, but I had remembered a bolo for these scrap bags a few years ago. Obviously newer packaging. I think they were discontinuing them. And, people were like, no, they like love to have these scrap bags. You can see the little holder. I think I've even seen those holders at thrift stores and not really thought about what they were for. But yeah, I think they discontinued the scrap bags and people they still love them. And so the newer packaging ones can actually sell for a little bit more. And I came across these, it kind of rang a bell in my memory. And I was like, wow, so this box was from like the 70s. And it was a little greasy and kind of messed up, but it was still closed and still sealed. So I went ahead and listed them for 30 and sold them for 26. Moving on to Posh. It was an okay week on Posh. It, not the greatest, but again, I wasn't, sharing and doing all the things that I did it more than the week before, but I just didn't do it as much as I could have. So nice pair of Ultras. This is a good brand to kind of keep your eye out for sneakers when they're in good condition. Some models are going to sell a lot better than others, but we were fine getting $34 for these. This was something my husband picked up at the bins. I don't know necessarily that I would encourage him to do so again. I think he was just kind of in one of those modes where he was just, everything he adds to his pile doesn't really increase what he has to pay. So he just grabbed it. And, he's the one who's shipping. So I wouldn't bring this home and say, hey, we're going to sell this for $15 and I need you to package it. But if he wants to make that decision, then he can do that. But anyway, we just took an offer for 13. We basically paid hardly anything for it. And, one less thing in the landfill. Tommy Bahama, it's a pullover. It's not one of his reversible ones that are a little bit more common, but it was new with tags. I probably could have gotten a little bit more out of this. I've sold similar ones for more, like closer to 45 or 50, but I got this offer and I was just like, you know what? The week's kind of slow. I'm still making a profit. Let's just keep things moving. And I'm trying to have that mindset a little bit more often. These were books. I'm sure we got them all from thrift stores and things like that. But these were my boys' books and they had moved on. And I remember right before we moved in the fall, we did kind of a clean out of their books. And we had, some that we were just going to donate. And then we had some that we were going to put in those like little libraries that are around. And, we were trying to find ways to not move as many books. I mean, we still had a ton because my kids like to read. But somehow these ended up just coming to the new place anyway, even though we were thinking, oh, we should just list them. So listed them real quick and I just took, $20 offer. I was totally fine with that. And Poshmark shipping is super easy. So the only thing I have to watch out for, I have a few different stacks of books of my kids that I have listed and probably would do fairly well on Poshmark, but the shipping, has a 5-pound limit, and depending on the type of book, it can reach that limit quickly. Now you can pay for an upgraded label, but it's usually, these are items that are not really worth having to pay that extra in order to ship them. Pair of Crocs. I just remember picking these up at the thrift store. Kind of any of the unusual Crocs sandal type things usually sell pretty quickly. There's really not much to these. These are very minimalist. And I sold them for $16. Took an offer. This was a nice sale. These were a pair of Merrells that as you can see, they're women's size 10.5, but I just looked at them, saw the 10.5, and showed my husband a picture and said, do you want these? Because that's his size. And let me see, it probably says women's right on it. Yep, it says women's, but you know what? I have bad eyesight and I couldn't see the tag that clearly in the thrift store. I just saw the 10.5. And anyway, we get home and he like starts to put his foot in, and he's just like, or I got home, and he starts to put his foot in. He's like, these are not men's 10.5. And then we saw the label. So anyway, we listed them on Posh, or we listed them everywhere, but on Posh, they sold for our full asking price of $70. So it was a profitable mistake. Another pair of sneakers. I am guessing my husband picked these up at some point because I don't remember them. Nike Air just sold for $24. People are buying sneakers right now. Anyway, here's a flatware. This is the flatware shop on Etsy, Pish Posh Flatware. I realized that I didn't share these last week. So these are actually last week's sale. And they sold for $30 for 5 spoons. And I just wanted to be sure to mention them because anything bamboo handled type of flatware is something I always kind of keep my eye out for. And these were pretty solid. They're completely round. Some of them are very just kind of flat and they're just bamboo shaped on the top, but not the bottom. But these are like all the way around. So they were a nice set of spoons. And, I throw the words like tiki bar and like that type of thing into my listings. And it helped. They were a good brand too. Reba Craft, if you remember from the flatware video, is Reed and Barton. So that was a nice little sale. Then this was my best flatware sale of the week. So I have a variation listing where, as you see the title, I have this pattern, Florenz, which is by Intrapure. And I just say your choice. And so people can, they can choose from the drop down what item they want, and then they can choose the quantity of each. So it's kind of hard to show you because this is still just a live listing, and I'm actually not signed into this account right now. I'm signed into the other account to show you sewing patterns. So I can't really show you how that variation thing works, but I think you get the idea. So a woman ordered 6 teaspoons and 4 salad forks, and the total was $80 for 10 pieces of flatware. So I really like that variation listing option because she could pick exactly what it was that she wanted. The other thing I had to do on this flatware was that some were marked Korea and some were marked Japan. And so I went ahead and separated them in the drop-down list. And so they could definitely pick, exactly which ones matched the flatware that they had. So yeah, nice little $80 flatware sale out of one listing. And there's still a bunch more listed in that listing. That sounds funny. Okay, and one more sale in that shop. This is my favorite utensil to find and sell, and I just kind of keep my eye out for it all the time. I started off selling them for like $14, years ago, and I've just slowly increased my price. So now $22 for this. The brand is Spar, and they're made in Norway generally. It's a cheese plane or slicer. You can see it's got the blade right there in it. And yeah, so nice teak wooden handle, and they sell super fast. And I'm picking them up for 99 cents or less, and they sell for just an easy $20 at least. Some Most are made in Norway. Hickory Farms also makes, a version. It'll be marked Hickory Farms, and it sometimes it's Hickory Farms with like Spar, or it'll just say made in Norway. Some just say made in Norway. They don't say Spar. And it doesn't matter. They all sell, and sometimes the wood handle is a different color. But anyway, it's fun. And one Depop sale for this week. Oh, I didn't end up showing it to you. I can't show you all of that. Let's see. It's a pair of men's UGG sandals. So let's go. This is what I meant to do. Okay, so here's my shop again. Here's the sold one. Okay, so pair of UGG sandals sold. I think they sold for $20, not the $25, but those were men's. They took a lot longer to sell than I expected. I had them listed everywhere, and I was surprised it was Depop that they actually ended up selling on. Okay, quickly over to the other Etsy shop. This was a super cute little pattern. I only had it listed for $9 because of condition and also the fact that it's a junior sizing. But it just is too cute, and I love that girl in the middle. And anyway, yeah, that sold for $9. Sold a couple buttons for $10. They were such an interesting pattern. I wasn't quite sure how to describe that look and like what it was, but they're from the Victorian era, and there's a lot of symbolism and things going on back then that just don't mean as much now. This pattern was $15, kind of a newer Vogue pattern. And finally, a Butterick pattern was a little bit older. It was a bigger size for vintage, and that sold for $17. So yeah, those were my sales for the week. I just noticed my laptop is probably about to run out of juice. So I'm going to wrap this up. And I need to get on with my day and get some things listed. So I hope you all had a really good week reselling. Let me know in a comment below if your week was better or worse. How was your January? Was it like a really good January, or did it really drop down from last year's fourth quarter? So, kind of hard on my case to judge just because of all the stuff that went on in January, and could have probably been a lot better. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully later on this week with another video. And I'm not positive exactly what it's going to be about, but I have a couple ideas popping around in my head, and we will hopefully see you then. Thanks so much, everybody. Goodbye.